Hello there, everyone. This is Aaron St. Dennis, the FF Mad Scientist, and welcome to Rat Pack Fantasy Football. Oh, hey, everyone. This is our Week 4 waiver wire breakdown. I got Jesse with me today. How's it going, Jesse?
It's going. I just found out I'm the defending champion in the guillotine league, and I just got chopped.
I did
was
see
looking
your
at it.
post about that. I did see your post.
Fuck. But, that's part of the guillotine league, so it's all good. I got a few more of them.
I have a guillotine league that I am still in, and I have no idea how. I made the mistake. No. Okay. So after week 1, I had gone through and I made my claims or whatever, but I had forgotten it was a guillotine league and I only claimed normal waiver players. So all the big names went through and I didn't put claims in on any of them. But somehow still managed to spend half my budget on people like Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams instead of half my budget on, like Bijan Robinson and shit like that.
Right.
So we're 3 weeks in and somehow I'm still alive, but it hasn't been pretty. It's one of those ones where every week I go, I'm one of the 3 or 4 lowest projected totals here, and somehow I find a way to squeak through. So it's working well for me. I have 40% of my fab left, and I have a team that probably would suck in a normal league, let alone a guillotine league. So at this point, I'm not spending any more money, and I'm just going to keep surviving as long as I can and hope that at some point I look up and 40% is more than anybody else has left. So
survive in advance, baby. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I got too many leagues going on, and like I said, got a couple of them mixed up, and I said, "Oops, shit!" Like I forget who it was. Actually, it was funny because some of the guys who did get claimed, they were terrible ever since, like Derrick Henry, and I find that happens a lot. I had one league last year where everyone fought for the one guy. The one guy spent all his money and then talked shit. I think I told you this story. Talked shit about how good his team was and all that, and he got knocked out the next week. So, sorry, I'm trying to multitask here and bring up.
You're good. That's like Christian McCaffrey besides last year, the 2 years before that, he was like the murderer of guillotine leagues because people would drop $700 on him and then they get chopped the next week, and it would just continue throughout the season. So Derrick Henry's gonna be that guy this year,
yeah. So my bids have got in on like Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, guys you would actually have in a real waiver claim, not guys like Christian McCaffrey or whatever. But so I guess we'll get into it here. We'll start with quarterback. I don't know why I never thought to do this. I normally just wing it, but this time I thought since my waiver article is already ready, hasn't been published, it looks like, should be due out any minute. I guess I'll just use this. So at quarterback, we have a variety of different options. I rank mine in my article as shallow leagues. So these are guys who are 70% or more. So most leagues, they're not there. Medium leagues, I have 50 to 70%. Deeper leagues are 25 to 50, and dart throws are under 25%. So that's how I have it. So like I said, I like to give options for everything. But my number 1, the headliner, was Jameis Winston. I know we don't know how long Derek Carr's out. I'm expecting a month. He is 1% rostered. So if you need a quarterback in a super flex, Jameis Winston is your guy. He's kind of the upgraded version of Andy Dalton, where he just doesn't give a shit, and he's just going to throw up downfield balls all game long. I mean, he's also going to throw a half dozen interceptions a game, but whatever. If he throws 5 touchdowns and 5 picks, it's a wash. So I got Winston, and then so for shallow leagues, I got Richardson, Goff, Geno, and Jones. Those are all 70 to 80% rostered. If any of them are available in your leagues, single QB, they're worthwhile. This is where we get into the meat of it here. The middle range, we have the 50 to 70%. Purdy's only 69%. We've got Love 69%. Russ and Matthew Stafford in the low 50s. 25 to 50% range, we've got Pickett, Kyler Murray, who could be coming back any day now, and Sam Howell, who looked absolutely terrible this week. I think he's better than he looked this week. The dart throws, I have CJ Stroud, who I love. I wasn't all that high on him, but the last 2 weeks he's looked awesome. Mac Jones, who's gone the opposite way. Bryce Young, who's probably a dart throw, and same with Josh Dobbs. It's kind of weird that at this point I think I'd rather have Josh Dobbs than Daniel Young, Bryce Young, but that's kind of where we're at. So out of all those guys, I mean, aside from, probably the high headliners were the shallow league guys, but, aside from them, really anybody here jumping out at you?
It's Stroud. Like, he's looked phenomenal. I mean, yeah, he's a rookie, but they're passing enough where it doesn't matter. And he's
at 21% ownership. I don't understand that.
He's of the waiver wire targets, he's the guy I'm targeting. Even those 50% range guys, I'm just going to grab him just because he's actually been good and he's been productive. And they're going to have to pass all year because their defense can't keep up. So it's a situation where he can support the weapons and the defense can't really stop them. So that's the ideal situation. It's why Cousins is so good this year, and those guys and Tua, they're just bombarding teams on offense. So obviously CJ Stroud's not on that level, but he's been really good, and he should be good this season. So
I don't know, he could be. Yeah. I know everyone's argument's been, they got to, they can't pass every down and they got to start running. But, don't tell them that because at this point, they just seem content to throw the ball every fucking time. So,
yeah, absolutely.
I think CJ Stroud is definitely my favorite. Obviously, Jameis is more likely to be available. He's 1%. So he's pretty much universally available everywhere. CJ Stroud's my favorite. I agree with you at 21%. I like Sam Howell if you can be patient. Yeah. Jordan Love and Brock Purdy are getting it's pretty dicey here. There's not a whole lot left. There's the Jameis Winston for a couple of weeks here, if you're in a deep league, and then there's CJ Stroud, I think, is the prize. Mac Jones is available in about the same amount of leagues. I prefer CJ Stroud heavily over Mac Jones. I guess he's not the worst if you really stuck for a quarterback, but these are he's mostly a super flex option. CJ Stroud, on the other hand, Stroud, I don't mind stashing in a 1 QB league where I have some room on the bench. I don't mind it. Stafford and Russ are in the 50s. Stafford has been better for real life football than fantasy. So like I said, it's not a great week here. You have CJ Stroud, who's pretty much the crown jewel at 20%. And then Jameis, if you need an injury replacement. Even Andy Dalton, he's at less than 1%. I don't know if he's going to start again. Gardner Minshew, same as last week. I don't know if he's going to start again. So anybody else jump out at you here besides Stroud or Jameis? I think it's just
I had Dalton inside my top 10 QBs this week because of who he's playing. They're playing Minnesota. So if he's playing, I expect him to be very, if he plays, you can definitely stream him and be fine this week. We saw last week what he did against Seattle. Minnesota defense is god awful. So yeah, I would be fine if it was a desperation move, rolling with Andy Dalton. They're some of these guys down here, man, I don't trust them. They're just not good quarterbacks. So Howell worries me a little bit, but he has at least rushing to move him up. It's just tough. And the weird thing about Dobbs is he's been pretty good. So I don't know when that he's gonna turn into a pumpkin, but for now he's been productive and been solid.
Well, it's San Francisco this week. That's why I didn't go after him. So
yeah, he's got Cincy the week after too. It's rough.
See, my thing with Howell, I think he's a good quarterback. He makes some really awesome, he makes more money throws. I forget who tracks this stat, but he makes more money throws than anyone in the league. He also has been more turnover prone. So he's got it. But, that's something where, I love him. I don't love him in redraft, but I do love him in Dynasty. I think it's a case where he could really develop and work on this and see a big jump next year. And I know I argued with Tim about this the other day. Oh, well, he has rushing upside, but you haven't seen it. Well, okay, that's something you're going to see as he gets more confident. He's going to start running more. They're going to give him more designed runs. I think he has a 40 rushing yards per game minimum floor there. I think he's going to be really good. I traded him away in a league where I've decided that my young team that I thought was going to be another year away, well, they look like they're a contender. I'm in first place right now and I'm unbeaten. So I decided I wanted to try and push a little more, and I traded away Howell for Dak. I gave something else with Howell, but I forget what. So I got Dak, and then I was like, oh, I kind of regret trading Howell. And then about 20 minutes later, I was like, oh, that worked out well. And I ended up buying Howell back this week at a discount to the guy I just traded him to. So I like my Howell. I think, like I said, he's probably a better stash in Dynasty leagues, but I think he has potential. I don't think one of us in the argument. One of you guys said he could be Daniel Jones, and Tim was arguing that why are we striving for mid? I don't think Daniel Jones is mid. I don't mind Daniel Jones. If you told me he's maybe a little bit better than Daniel Jones, I don't hate that. I think that's good. Daniel Jones is probably a borderline QB1. I don't hate that.
That's the thing that Tim was struggling to understand is like how fancy points are scored in this argument. I was like, dude, rushing quarterbacks don't have to be that good. Like all they have to be is a decent passer, and then they're really good fancy options. So like
that's why everyone was on Richardson. I don't care how he scores the points. I just want the points. So
he's the super version of it where it's just like Konami to the moon. So yeah, you're like all aboard the train. And then he shows like promises passer. It's like, oh my gosh, what are we doing here?
He shows he has the arm strength and he makes some great tight window throws. He needs some work like the Josh Allen here. He needs work to get rid of the stupid mistakes, like the bad turnovers where he's forcing it. But that can be coached out of him. Some of the throws he makes, the good ones, you can't teach them. So if he's a matter of coaching, and I think Ron Rivera there has more than enough to be able to coach it out of him. Move on to running back. For the second week in a row, I list my top headliner. I list a budget for what I think he would spend out of $100. And for the second week in a row, we have a running back that has $ all next to him. That's what I've decided. I don't know about you, okay, but so in a normal redraft league, I wasn't always like this, but the way I've become is I'm spending, say I have a $100 budget throughout the season. I want $75 to $80 of that budget to be spent on running back, barring a significant injury. I lose, like last year, I lost Dak Prescott. I ended up adding Fields or Lawrence or someone. Okay, you got to add a tight end in an injury. That's one thing. But, like, we'll get onto the wide receivers after. And as much as I like the Pukas and the Tank Dells, I don't want to spend 50% of my budget. For every one of these guys who sticks, there's 8 of them who blow up 1 week and they're never worth it. So I'm a big believer in spend all your money on running backs. So the headliner here was Devon A-Chain, 41% rostered. He's an all bid. If he's available at any of your leagues, spend it all. I get it. There's Raheem Mostert. Jeff Wilson's going to come back. I think this is going to be Mostert and A-Chain. And then I think it's going to be A-Chain when Mostert goes down to injury because he's going to. Mm-hmm. The shallow league targets, if you've got Zach Moss, Kareem Hunt, Josh Kelly, they're all 70 to 80%. Zach Moss is the only one I'm really spending, any effort on. I think Hunt and Kelly are lower bid. Kelly, I think, is almost, he's pretty garbage, but he's a running back, so if you need him. The next tier, I have Gainwell, Warren, and Roshan. This is kind of I want to hold them in stash category. I don't want to, go crazy. I want maybe 5 or 10%. Gainwell, I didn't see the splits. Do you know? It seems like they phased him out for Swift last night.
Swift had the bulk of it. It was like 24 to 14 carries. I mean, they ran the ball a lot, so he had a portion, but it was definitely Swift as the lead.
I was out with my kids, so I didn't see a whole lot of it. I got the later game, but I missed most of that. So Warren and Roshan are my 2 targets. I think they're going to be the bell cow within, whenever their team's bye week. That's normally when they take over. Deeper league options, we've got Jerick McKinnon. I guess you could add CEH. The Chiefs running backs have been surprisingly useful the last few weeks. Yeah. I've also got Eli Mitchell. This one is literally just the definition of a straight-up handcuff. But if CMC goes down, he is your league winner, as we've seen before. So, like I said, he's a handcuff for me. I've also got Kendre Miller, Tank Bigsby as some deeper options. Tyjae Spears has looked, like he's getting more workload. He looked good last week. He looked like crap this week. Latavius Murray, if you're desperate. Rico Dowdle had some play. I'm a big believer in Sean Tucker in Tampa as a stash and Chase Brown as the injury handcuff to Joe Mixon. I know that was a lot. Anybody that I listed or that wasn't listed that, struck your fancy at running back?
Yeah, I mean, they all have some type of upside associated with them. And interesting, I just looked at the Gainwell splits. It was basically a 1-for-1 split with Swift. Swift had 43 snaps, Gainwell had 37. He had 14 carries, Swift had 16, and they basically ran the same amount of routes. It's just Swift's a better player, so that's kind of the thing that happens. But Swift gets injured, Like you're getting an RB, like a very good running back. Well, an offense, and I can't talk. Running back in a very good offense. That's what I meant to say. So yeah, there's that for him. But yeah, I like the guys with contingent upside where they can step in. Like we're seeing Zach Moss do this, right? Taylor's out. They have no one else, so they're just betting on Zach Moss. So I think Bigsby falls in that category very much so. Like it's a good offense, and if you're basically counting on an injury to the running back, which guess what, that happens. Yeah. So I want the guys in good offense that can be productive. So like that's why I like targeting those guys like Bigsby and players.
Bigsby might have some marginal standalone value even without an injury. Like he's been great, but he's produced a little.
100%, yeah. And the same thing with like Jeff Wilson. It's just that offense, right? So like if one of those guys goes down in front of him, the injuries like you're talking about Mostert, like Jeff Wilson's gonna play a role. Obviously, I want A-Chain to the moon. Like it's all aboard the A-Chain train. But yeah, like the good offenses are like key for these running backs. So if they have different skill sets, if they can catch passes in a good offense, or if they can do both things, they can be a good rusher and a good pass catcher, and you add that into a good offense, like that's wheels up. Warren's kind of interesting, and Warren and Spears, the two that are interesting. Spears, like he's already out snapping Henry, so I don't know what's going to happen with Derrick Henry in that situation. Like if you drafted Henry and Dobbins and you're like suffering on offense, right? You don't have anybody. You might as well take Spears and a couple other of those guys just to have backups because you don't know how it's going to work out, but like it can't get any worse for you.
Yeah, like I said, it's a lot of guys who are probably, not necessarily handcuffs, but that's pretty much what running back is. You've got your split between the guys who are straight up handcuffs and the guys who are younger or, well, mostly rookies who we're holding on because we think they might get a better share. So A-Chain's obviously the one everyone wants. You'll see 100% bids on him this week. Assuming I'm not going to get A-Chain because I don't really think I want to spend 100% of my fab on anyone. Yeah. I think my targets, like I said, if I have the team and the roster spot where I can stash someone and wait a week or two, I like Warren. I like Roshan. If I have more of a long-term outlook, I don't mind Bigsby, Tyjae Spears, Sean Tucker. Gainwell could be all right, but I think he's going to be inconsistent. So aside from A-Chain, who everyone's going to go crazy over, I think it's kind of a stash argument here. I also don't mind Zach Moss if you need someone for 1 week and you want to hold them and maybe pray that JT goes somewhere else or doesn't come back. He's not a terrible option. I will probably get more Zach Moss. I know he's almost 80% rostered, but in the leagues where he's available, I imagine I will get more shares of him this week than A-Chain, just simply because I'm not going to spend what it's going to take to get A-Chain.
Exactly right. And like in the short term, if you need someone in the short term, Zach Moss is the way to go. Or if you want to take a gamble on like Breida or anyone in like the Giants backfield, right? That's going to get snaps. And same thing with Baltimore with Melvin Gordon. Like same thing. Like you can get like 10 plus points.
These things never work out. And don't get me wrong. I think A-Chain's great. I was on him all off season. He was great. But we did this in week 2 where it was Kyron Williams, Joshua Kelly, and another running back. Oh, Kenneth Gainwell. Everyone loaded up. I got Kyron Williams because I put 5 to 10% bids in on him. The others were going for 40 to 50. 3 weeks later, I'm glad I got the cheaper guy because Gainwell's been hurt. Who was the second guy? I forgot. Oh, Josh Kelly's been terrible, and Kyron's been the best, and I got him the cheapest. So just because, like, I get it. He put up 50 points, and he looks awesome, and I expect him to be awesome. He's probably a guy to spend all your money on. I'm just not doing it. I don't really operate that way. So
he only had 41% of snaps yesterday too. So like it was very much he wasn't the lead. He was just an explosive monster. So he's young. He'll probably see more work as it goes on. It's just like there's definitely risk with all these guys.
Wide receivers, we have the headliner is Tank Dell. But like I said, this is another one where I don't spend all my money at once. And when I do, I don't really spend it. I think my top bid, I have Tank Dell as my top bid at 15%. I get it. He's looked awesome. I'm not convinced he's the one. I think him and Nico Collins are a solid 1-2. But there's just so many times where we do this where even Puka didn't have a great week. Oh, did he end up having a decent week because he had a late touchdown, right, to salvage it?
So he missed it. Right? Still had 5 catches for 75 yards. So like it's a pretty solid day. That's not bad.
Yeah, he had an okay day. Yeah. So it's just like there's so many times where we do this and then it's like, oh yeah, they were no good. Oh yeah, don't get me wrong, Puka's good, but so I have Tank. Sorry, I got a text message in the middle of that. I have Tank Dell as my headliner, and then I have the shallower players here would be Nico, Hollywood Brown, and JSN. JSN's obviously more a long-term play. Medium range, I've got Jacoby Myers and Cortland Sutton, who I never thought I would be this high on, but both have looked like they are the – well, Myers isn't the one. He's the 2, but Sutton really looks like he might be the 1. I don't mind going, pretty heavy on either of those 2. Tutu Atwell looks like he's the solid 2, but if I'm scared about Puka when Cooper Kupp comes back, I'm even more scared about Tutu. We've got Treylon Burks, Josh Reynolds, who seem to be more of a desperation play. And then if we really want to get into the desperation but solid plays, there's some here that are under 50% and as low as 25. We've got Rashid Shaheed, Adam Thielen, who you're not going to get in my leagues because I already drafted him everywhere. He was my last pick everywhere, and I love that it's worked out. Romeo Doubs, he's inconsistent. I don't think he's looked all that great. And then with Watson coming back, he might be worse. Kendrick Bourne, the 2 I would be most highest on probably, if you can afford to be patient, are Marvin Mims and Rashee Rice. Then I guess you could say the same about Jaden Reed and Jalen Hyatt. What are your thoughts at wide receiver here?
So I've been high on Reed the entire process. I'm still in on him. It's just the whole Christian Watson thing coming back. Like, I'm curious to see how that impacts both those guys. So I'm not as bullish as I am on someone like Tank Dell, where there's a path to see more work, right? But yeah, like I would have had Thielen on my list, but he's like just above the 50 percentile on ESPN. So he didn't make the cut, and I was like, oh yeah, I'd be like way up on him because he's dominating targets and a team that desperately needs it. But yeah, Mims is fun. Like Shaheed, those guys are fun. If you want to take a dart on the Kansas City like receivers, Rashee Rice is being like the best of the bunch so far, and he's a rookie, so he could see more. You just don't know how it's going to go. And then there's guys like Josh Downs, like you're talking about, or Palmer's the more the solid play. But I think if you want to shoot for upside, someone will actually impact your roster. Like you take a gamble on Quentin Johnston and see how it goes because this is the path for him. I don't know if it's going to work out, but like this is the situation everybody talked about. When somebody gets injured in front of him, he steps into a bigger role, and in this offense, like there's massive opportunity for points for him. So like I'll prioritize Johnson behind like Tank Dell and stuff.
I like the call there on Downs. Sorry,
yeah.
Too many. I liked him. He looked good as the solid number 2. The Chargers situation. I think I've recently gone from the all-in on Quentin Johnston guy to the all-out on Quentin Johnston guy. I think he's going to see 30% of a waiver budget. I think you can get Palmer for 5 or 10. Give me Palmer for 5 or 10. Like I said, I don't know. Something about Quentin Johnston through training camp, through the whole process, first few games. I get he hasn't gotten the opportunities, but he has not looked great. I think I'd rather just take Palmer.
I expect him to struggle early on and like build up from that. So like he's gonna be a stash for me. Where like 4 or 5 weeks down the road, like you start seeing the production. Like it's just gonna take him time. So like he's a second half play for me. So you have to be patient with that type of player.
Alrighty, I'm trying to look through here, see if there was anyone else. There's some older players who have some sneaky value. Probably wide receiver 3 flex value. Maybe 2 in a few cases. Like we got Hollywood Brown, Jacoby Myers, Adam Thielen. There's Kendrick Bourne. None of those really excite me, but they're solid flexes. I think out of the 4 of Myers, Bourne, Thielen, Sutton, I was going to say I would rank them, but I don't even know how I would rank that. Maybe Myers, Sutton, Thielen, Bourne, which is really weird to say considering Adam Thielen's currently the wide receiver 7. What do you think about those 4?
So I would go Myers, Thielen, Sutton, Bourne. I just don't trust Bourne. Like he's been in the league a long time and he hasn't been productive at all. So I'm just kind of like he is who he is. He's tantalizing, but he's not there. And then Sutton's interesting. It's just I don't know what the heck's going on with Judy and him. And then they're also having Marvin Mims come on and play more. So I don't trust the Broncos, man. That offense just Russell's putting up stats, but I just don't trust it. So like he's 3rd, but like you could flip them. But yeah, like I'm happily riding with Thielen or Myers. Like Myers is at a 31% target share right now. And that offense is like him and Adams and Jacobs, and that's it. So like it's going to be like that the entire year. And their defense is trash. So like I'm totally fine with riding with Myers. But I've been a Myers guy for like 5 years now, so I'm quite biased on that.
What do you think they're all just like flexes, or you see anything?
Yeah, like I think you can get wide receiver 2 production from like Thielen and Myers. I'm more like skeptical with Sutton, so he'd be like a wide receiver 3 flex for me.
Alrighty, let's move on to our final position. Got a little bit of a short show today because we're tight on time here. Tight end, I think the easy one here, and I think I'm spending more on him if I need a tight end than I did on any wide receiver or any quarterback. Oh, maybe that's not true. I like CJ Stroud, but if you need a tight end, Sam Laporta's the guy to go get. I have him as a 25% bid, and that's rare for me. He's 80% rostered, so it's a shallow ad. The other two shallow ads I have are Dalton Kincaid and Hunter Henry, who are both in the 70s. Cole Kmet is my medium league guy. That's got to be incorrect. I've missed the number. I have it at 9%, but it's 59% type. I like him, even though that offense is terrible. For the deeper guys, I have Chig, Jake Ferguson, and Zach Ertz in the dart throws. I like Luke Musgrave, the best out of this group. K. Dotton would be second if you're really, really desperate. Noah Fant and Durham Smythe. What are your thoughts about the tight end waiver options here?
Musgrave, he's the guy. Like, obviously Laporta, he's been incredible, but Musgrave's been really good, and he's been like the second tight end of the rookies, and he's been fantastic. So, like, I'm gonna prioritize him over like all those guys you mentioned besides Henry, just because Henry's in the offense is gonna prioritize tight ends, and he's been a productive tight end his entire career. He doesn't have the explosiveness anymore, but that's kind of what Musgrave offers. Is if you're really looking for someone to kind of shoot the moon with at tight end, and let's be real, I tried to find 10 tight ends under 50% roster. It was a disaster trying to find those 10 guys this week. Like, I didn't want anybody. So, yeah, like, Musgrave is very much one of them. Ferguson's fine. He's seeing snaps. He's getting routes. Like, it's fine. It's just, it's not going to turn into much. It's kind of like Hayden Hurst, those guys where you'll get production, but they're never going to have those blow-up games. It's not like the Kyle Pitts theory, right, where if they get the work, they're going to blow up. Musgrave is kind of along that train. It's just like it's tantalizing upside. You just need Jordan Love to be good. So if Jordan Love's going to be good, Musgrave's going to be a tight end. I think he's already like a top 11 tight end anyways. So, yeah, I'm going to ride with Musgrave.
Well, yeah, obviously, like I said, Laporta's a shorter option.
Yes,
he's available. Like you go get him.
Yeah, 100%.
I think I like Musgrave as well. There's 3 or 4 I don't mind. Kmet I like. Jake Ferguson I like. Luke Musgrave I like. Zach Ertz, if you don't mind how old he is and don't mind risking injury every week. K. Dotton, I think, is going to be a sneaky stash for later in the season. He hasn't had the production yet, but like, he's on the field every play, and he's a big role in this offense. It just hasn't translated yet, so I think he would be my stash. But, yeah, it's kind of thin at tight end. All the more reason why if Laporta or Musgrave are out there, you should really go get them. My third choice would probably be Kmet.
I like Kmet. He's solid. And, yeah, I like your call Naughton, like, as kind of a sleeper. Because that offense outside Evans is really struggling. So, like, I expect Godwin to come on stronger, and I expect Auden to come on stronger.
Yeah, I did not see that where if you had told me 3 weeks in it would be Evans having a great year and it would be Godwin. I was all over Godwin saying Evans is dead this year. Him and Baker won't line up. Well, apparently I got that one wrong. So
yeah, I can't remember who said it, but he's got 30% of his production from screens the past 2 years. And I found this in August. I was like, oh shit, for real? I was like, Baker's not going to throw screens to him. That's not what they're going to do. So that kind of changed how I thought about that. But I wish I would have realized that back in March when everybody was fading Evans. But
it's weird though because Baker led the league in running back checkdowns. So he doesn't throw screens, but he leads the league in running back checkdowns. I don't.
McCaffrey theory. Yeah, because he was playing McCaffrey last year. That's why his numbers so elevated. It's oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And then it was Kareem Hunt before that.
Yeah, he has some pass catching running backs, and even this year he's got Rashad White. He's gonna catch passes too. So yeah, those guys.
CMC to Rashad White.
It's quite the drop off there.
I see why Mike Evans is getting so many targets. All right. Well, like I said, we had a little bit of a shorter show. It's all right. It was waivers, and it's not an overly deep week this week. So, there's some options, but I mean, everyone's going to go after Tank Dell or Devon A-Chain. Yes, thank you. I couldn't remember. I was going to say, or insert Miami Dolphins running back. But yes, Devon A-Chain, that would be the one. So
yeah, grab all the Dolphins running backs. Just grab them all.
Yeah. You know what the funny part is? I don't have much A-Chain, but in every league I have all season, my theory was, you'll look, even Frankenstein, Scott Fishbowl. I don't know how many leagues where you get to 12, 13, 14. Anytime I was on the closer end, any league where I'm picking 11th or the leagues where I can double tap it, I have a ton of leagues where I have back-to-back Mostert Wilson, and then a few rounds later A-Chain. So I have a surprising amount of rosters with 2 of these 3 in the 13th round or later. So I'm quite happy at how the Dolphins look. It's working out wonderful because I got a free RB2 in a lot of leagugs that, like I said, I got 2 out of the 3 of them in, after the 13th round in a lot of leagues. So it worked out well. I like it.
That's very good. That's very nice.
All right. Well, that concludes NFL Week 4 waiver wire breakdown for Aaron and Jesse. This has been Rat Pack Fantasy Football. Thank you for watching. We will be back live Thursday at lunch for what I feel like is the NFC home game breakdown, because Thursday's what, Packers Lions, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I'm actually not sure.
Yeah,
We'll
so
check.
I
We'll just go
believe
with that.
So Thursday at lunch, we're gonna go 12:30, I think, on Thursday for that, and then Friday at 12:30 as well for the AFC breakdowns. Once again, for Aaron and Jesse, this has been Rat Pack Fantasy Football. Take care and have a great day. Hope everyone survived week 3.